Volatility is constant in our lives. Volatility is absolutely constant in financial markets. They are not going away. These stretches are not going away. Yes, we may have some pockets where things quiet down. Maybe they get quiet this summer. Maybe they don't. We don't know. The long days that we experience, they're not going away. So the real question is, what does your standard look like when the pressure is the highest? Because that's when it matters the most. My name is Brian Panuzzo. I am a former bond trader turned executive health and performance coach. I know exactly why your health keeps losing to your calendar, and I help you build a system that fixes it. I know your world as a financial professional from the inside because I lived it for 20 years. Welcome back to the show. This is the Success Lift Podcast, and I'm Brian. I want to talk about a concept and a topic that is familiar to everyone. It may not be in the form or in some of the examples that I give you because I'm going to use a lot of scenarios that a financial professional, someone working on a trading desk, someone inside the markets on a daily basis would experience, but that tends to be my audience, my avatar. And as I've said in the past, 70% of the people that we work with that come through our program are financial professionals. The other 30 are everyone else, are super high performers, CEOs, doctors, lawyers, entrepreneurs, corporate executives. But in general, most of the people that we work with are finance pros. And so because of what I used to do and who we specialize in working with, we use a lot of vernacular, as we would say, that is relevant to the finance bro. And when I say finance bro, all my ladies out there, you're finance bros too. I want to talk this week about volatility. It's a topic that you've experienced quite frequently over the last several months. I know this. The broad market, as we call it, the S&P 500 is up about 5% year to date as of the time of this recording in early May of 2026. And while that's a good start to the year, if you ask that question, or if you ask somebody how they were doing, who's a financial professional or someone who has money in the market, who pays attention to the world and what's happening, if you ask them in March, how we doing, you would get a very different answer than if you asked them in April, how we doing? Because in March, the market was down 6%. In April, the market was up almost 8%. And so we haven't just kind of chugged along up and down, up and down, up and down from lower left to upper right to get ourselves up 5% or so in the month of May so far. We've had quite the roller coaster ride. And when we have roller coaster rides, we tend to have our lives disrupted. Volatility, whether it be in financial markets or in other areas of our life, create conditions for us as human beings that make it harder, not impossible, make it harder for us to stick to our protocols, plans, goals, actions, you name it, however you want to say it. You're picking up what I'm putting down. I know you are. And so when the market breaks loose, put the market in air quotes there, when the market breaks loose, when volatility picks up, so do you. Things break down in our professional lives. Things get chaotic in our personal lives. We break down. Our actions break down. I don't need to describe a scenario that you've likely lived in the very recent past, where you've looked up from your desk and 3 or 4 hours have gone by. You haven't really stood up. You haven't had much water, if any. You definitely haven't eaten anything, except maybe that granola bar that was on your desk or the banana that you brought in during your commute. You've had a few cups of coffee. You finally have a few minutes that open up where you think you may be able to get to the bathroom and go pee and get some food and take a quick break and relax and decompress shortly before likely there's more chaos. but you get pulled into a meeting, off the desk, we say. Somebody sees that you're not as busy trading some stuff around, and they grab you real quick because they've been waiting for the last 3 hours to talk to you. And so you get pulled off the desk. And this stretch of you not being able to, quite frankly, take care of your basic human needs continues. Now, yeah, of course, you probably find time to go pee, and maybe you go grab a glass of water, but you certainly don't plan out the meal that you were going to. You grab whatever's there. You move on to the next thing. And by the time the day ends, you're pretty wrecked. You're stressed. The first thing you want to do is have a drink. So you either go grab one with a coworker, or you open up that bottle of wine or pour yourself that drink when you walk in the door. And that's been the last couple months for most of the people that I work with, quite frankly. And what most people don't realize is that you are absorbing this every single day. And it is compounding this pressure, this stress, this lack of structure that you have when volatility picks up is compounding. And compounding doesn't just work in our favor. Compounding works against us. I've been very open with my life 11 years ago over the last 2 episodes. Nothing that happened during that time of my life, the season of my life, happened right away. Everything was a compounding effect. I guess my mom did get sick and my mom passed away, and I had no control over that. And in the grand scheme of things, that timeline was pretty sudden. It was like a year or so of our lives. And that's certainly from, thinking your parent is in their early 60s, pretty healthy, going to live a long life for you and everyone to get old, to them not being around anymore. That's a short period of time, but it wasn't like my mom died suddenly, tragically, and I didn't see her again all of a sudden. So I had some time there too. But these things, they compound silently against us. And so it gets to a point where we sort of wake up, and I just did my little air quotes again, we wake up to, as I've said before, a broken down body. And my body didn't degrade to a point over a matter of days or weeks or even months where I couldn't kneel down on the ground and connect with my son Hudson. That scenario that I played out for you last week, where I had to get up and go sit on the couch because my body physically was in too much pain, trying to kneel down, trying to sit, Indian style, trying to just like be as close to him as I could. So I had to go to a more comfortable spot. My wife didn't just like have a moment where she decided one action that I took was enough for her to come to me and give me a bit of an ultimatum saying, this isn't how I want to live my life. These were actions that I neglected, negative compounding that occurred for me over a decade. Some things were weeks, some things were months, other things were years. And so why I wanted to talk a little bit about volatility this episode is because I don't think volatility is going away in our markets, and definitely not in our lives. And I tend to attract and talk to people who manage risk professionally at a really high level, like really high level. I am incredibly impressed how successful some of the men and women that I work with are. Like some people who are inside of our program would have been my boss's boss's boss. That's pretty cool that they trust me. When they're really good at their jobs, they're really good at managing things when things get crazy inside the office. When markets move, they know what to do. They've been there before. But when this pressure spikes in our life, our personal routines are the first things that tend to fall apart. And that's what we've been making sure that we've been putting guardrails in place that we can't get too far off the path? Have we drifted lanes, some of the guys inside my program over the last several months? Yeah, of course. I'm always highlighting the top performers in my program. I'm always sharing how guys have kept it together, still managed to lose weight, gone on vacation, did this, did that. Yeah, they're doing great. My clients are getting epic results, but make no mistake, people struggle. People struggle inside my program. People struggle all over the place. I struggle, and I do this for a living. When that pressure spikes in our life, we tend to take our personal routines, the ones that create the epic results that we have, and they fall apart. Things like the gym disappears, sleep gets cut, food becomes whatever is available on the desk that's within your arm's reach, or whoever can run and grab something, or whoever did grab something and has extra. Right? Alcohol starts to increase. Our cortisol levels are already up because of what's happening in our professional lives. Then you add poor sleep, you add no movement, you add garbage food on top of that. And now you're looking at somebody who's running on empty while being asked to perform at a high level. And make no mistake, that's not perform at a high level in the office, because you usually can figure out how to keep that together. What suffers the most is what happens outside the office. And the weeks that demand the most out of you, professionally and personally, are the weeks we tend to give ourselves the least, tend to treat ourselves the worst. I know what volatile stretches do to a person. I've lived plenty of them, right? And in it, I'm not asking you to go through this checklist of like personal care. Did I meditate? Did I do my meditation today? Did I do my yoga today? Did I get my 15,000 steps in? Nobody on the trading desk, nobody inside your office during a bad market is thinking about their health. That's why we need systems. We need to fall to our standards, as the military people say. Because in a gunfight, never been in one, just making assumptions here. In a gunfight, we're not thinking about our goals. We're falling to our training. And so we attempt to put a protective net underneath the people that we work with for environments like we've been in over the last couple of months. Because otherwise we just default. We default to patterns that compound negatively against us, like I did, like that drink at the end of the day. It wasn't even something that I completely enjoyed. It was just the only way I knew how to come down. I didn't have another plan in place. I didn't have other strategies. So we fall to these standards that we have. I'll ask you, what are your standards? Do you have them? Most people don't. It's okay if you don't. Most people can't list off standards inside their personal life. Now you can come up with a few. I know you can. But you couldn't come and list off an entire portfolio of personal standards of how you operate inside your physical body, your mindset, your relationships. You don't have a standard for it. Half the time I ask somebody when's the last time they've been on a date night? And yeah, occasionally it's like, oh, last week. Most of the time it's been 3 weeks. And it kind of got away from us. Life has gotten crazy. We tend to spend most of our time shuttling the kids around and trying to figure out, couples thing always comes up on the weekends. And when we slow down, we actually realize we haven't had any quality one-on-one time in a while. But there are examples all around. I guarantee you can just think of somebody in the office that is doing some of this stuff. I'm sure you've watched people around you have a real physical routine, something that grounded them and stayed in it no matter what. It's their anchor. And that's why, like, I've realized how powerful an elite physical standard has been. Because when things get crazy, it's something I can turn to. It's something I can anchor into the ground of, like, oh yeah, I mean, I'm going to take care of myself so that I can show up and be the best professional, be the best husband, be the best father. And I think that's what people don't understand, is that a lot of times their baseline, we talked about this last week, your baseline performance, you don't realize how poor it is. And all we got to do is get you to start doing some different things for a 2, 3, 4 week period of time. And your energy levels dramatically increase. You didn't even realize you're capable of it. You've just accepted that this is the way it is. I accepted that for years. I thought that I was destined to be an ex-athlete, tall guy, limping around, just like the guys that I worked for, just like the ex-athletes that I see on TV. I thought that was my destiny. And I just accepted it as part of the deal until I began to change my standard, until I began to not accept volatility or anything else that was constant, because volatility is constant in our lives. Volatility is absolutely constant in financial markets. They are not going away. These stretches are not going away. Yes, we may have some pockets where things quiet down. Maybe they get quiet this summer. Maybe they don't. We don't know. The long days that we experience, they're not going away. So the real question is, what do your routines, what does your standard look like when the pressure is the highest? Because that's when it matters the most. We all build perfect routines for perfect situations. I have a couple guys right now on garden leave. For those who don't know, garden leave is when you leave a job and you can't start another one, so you basically have to hang out. You don't work. Sometimes you get paid not to work. It's pretty cool. And you're able to get out and play golf and work out every day and take walks and start to enjoy the springtime in areas of the country where it's been shitty weather for the last several months. And everything is perfect. But then all of a sudden you go back to your regular environment. So maybe for some of you who have jobs who aren't going on a garden leave anytime soon, that might look like your 2-weeker that comes up each summer. That may look like the 1-week vacation that you took, the quick spring break or whatever, where all of a sudden you have time, you can get to the gym, you don't have to commute. You can connect with your wife, you can take her out to call, you can have coffee together, you can grab lunches. These are perfect scenarios that we wait around for that don't come very often. I don't need to tell you that. And so what we're doing with those guys is, yeah, we're clearly taking advantage of that opportunity. It's not like we're like, well, it doesn't count. It's not volatile, so it doesn't count. Of course it counts. Let's double down. Let's get all this activity in. Let's do these things. Let's enjoy ourselves. Let's make sure we can connect, because there's going to be moments where you're not going to be able to spend much quality time with your wife for Monday through Thursday night or Friday afternoon. So let's maximize this time now, but let's make sure we're building a system. Let's make sure we're developing habits and routines, standards, that when you do go back to work, when you do go back to the office, this is in place. This is what we do. Do we need to make slight adjustments for a schedule change? Of course we do. We do that every single week with our guys. But is it going to be a complete overhaul of your life? No, it shouldn't be. Nutrition shouldn't really change. Yeah, maybe some of the places that we eat, we're going to eat more fast fuel, as we call it, quick spots, find our go-to lunch spots, have a couple of go-to ideas for breakfast based on whether you're going to the cafeteria inside or you're running downstairs to the deli. Have a bunch of high fiber, high protein, low calorie snacks available at arm's length from you or right in the kitchen in the fridge. Of course we're going to do all that. But we're not going to overhaul anything because that's going to break down. So we got to have this in place to start. So when the environment is conducive to you doing all the things you need to do, you got to put your foot on the gas and you got to go. And when it's not, you got to rely upon your system. Do you have a system? Because I have a lot of guys who are doing the best they can. Is it perfect? No. Are we making adjustments and adapting to the environment that they are currently living in? Yeah, we are. We have clients like Kyle who realized that he couldn't get to the gym 4 days a week anymore. And so we went to 3 days a week. I have clients like Mike who check in with me almost every day via text with a quick summary of how the day went. Because it holds him accountable. It's not for me, it's for him. Is it helpful for me? Yeah, of course. When my other client, Joe, who lost 15 or so pounds during this volatile stretch, he was texting me every day, a recap. Steps, did he drink, did he hit his calories, what his workout was, anything relevant from the day. 85% of the time, I gave him a little thumbs up emoji or a little clap emoji or a flex emoji. Once in a while, I'd respond. But it's like he knew that I was going to see it. And because he knew I was going to see it, he made sure he executed. I've said this before. I use my clients all the time for accountability. They pay me. I'm the one getting free stuff from them. Because I know that if I declare something to them, I'm going to be infinitely more likely to do it. There is no way I'm going to tell a group of 70 professionals who are paying us money to guide them through the journey that they are looking to go through to achieve the results they want. And I'm going to go tell them I'm going to do something and then a week later be like, yeah, you know what, man, this thing got away from me. The market got volatile. Come on now. That's not happening. And so your routine's going to hold when you have standards, when you expect pressure and disruption, and you have accountability. And so the market, let's just put the market in air quotes, because if you're not a Wall Street professional, maybe the market is a little bit less relevant for you. But the market is going to do what the market does. Volatility is going to do its thing. You already know that you can't control that. What you eat, how you move, whether you actually sleep well. A lot of our sleep quantity is down. Is our quality down? Whether you drink alcohol when you get home, whether you get those extra few steps in here and there, whether you communicate with your wife, whether you find a way to date her, you can control all of that, regardless of what's going on. Is it perfect? No, absolutely not. Is it going to be on a scale of 1 to 10? Sometimes is 6 or 7 the best you got? Yeah, I'll give you that. Probably not much below that, though. Probably not much below that. Most guys who are very tapped into their performance on a daily basis at the office have never actually stopped to evaluate and audit their performance outside. I'm not even just talking about yesterday, I'm talking about in years. That's the audit worth doing right now. If you guys found this helpful, please let me know. You can send me an email at brian@thesuccesslift.com. You can text me at 917-709-4283. If someone you know needs to hear this, send it to them. If you haven't liked, rated, or reviewed the podcast in a while, please go over to Apple Podcasts or Spotify and do that. I appreciate you guys. I'll see you back here next week.